sir.
Good evening. Please take your seat, Parth.
Thank you, sir.
So Parth is very famous.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir, according to the Mahabharata, Arjun, one of the lead characters of the epic, is also called Parth by Lord Krishna.
Okay. And Faridabad, your place is linked to somebody?
Yes, sir. Baba Farid was an advisor at the time of Mughal.
Good. Can you tell us in space technology what are the recent achievements of India?
So the most recent achievement is in terms of the IRNSS, that is the navigation through Indian constellation. ISRO had launched a constellation of satellites that will help the navigation in Indian subcontinent.
Apart from that, any other achievement in space technology?
So we successfully launched a spacecraft around the moon, Chandrayaan-2. That was last year.
Chandrayaan-2 was successful mission?
No, sir, not completely successful. The Vikram lander failed to achieve its mission. It lost contact 2 kilometers away from the surface. And the orbiter was successful and is transmitting her.
Okay. Can you tell us some of the applications of robotics in health?
Yes, sir. Robotics, one of the major applications is in rehabilitation of paraplegic patients. I have worked on this project. So the robotics, an exoskeleton can be created that can help the paralyzed patients in rehabilitation of their muscles and in the movement. So that is a major application.
So you think only exoskeleton can be in robotics?
No, sir. Robotics has a wide arena, and there are multiple other applications as well. So there are robots that can perform surgeries now, and upcoming 5G technology will enable that. As in the 5G has very low latency, so there can be real-time robotic surgeries.
Okay. What are you aware about Jam Trinity?
No, sir.
Because you want to know about mobile technology, Jandan Aadhaar Mobile.
I'm sorry, sir.
You are not heard?
No, sir.
So how do you think direct benefit transfer is happening to the farmer, to underprivileged people, to poor?
That happens through the direct bank account transfers.
So how it happens?
So I'm sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the exact mechanism.
Any idea about payment gateways?
Yes, sir. So the payment gateways allow the customers to pay a certain sum of amount to the merchant, and
that is in general principle.
Yes, sir.
In India, any idea how this happens? No.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Drones.
Yes, sir.
Are there any regulation for
Yes, sir.
UAVs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are those?
Recently,
So what are the types of unmanned or UAVs?
So the types are usually categorized according to the sizes. So
size or weight?
So it's a weight category. Yeah.
And
the capabilities it can handle. So there are military drones that are only for military use, and there are commercial drones.
So under what rule it has been formulated? So under what act? Under what provision?
I'm not aware of the exact.
Who is the licensing authority?
So the DGCA formed.
DGCA.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. And have you heard of UDAN scheme?
Yes, sir. So UDAN scheme is translates to Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. So that is for the accessibility of.
So what is the function of Airports Authority of India?
So it's the managing and maintenance.
Managing what?
Managing the airports, the infrastructure, the entire air infrastructure from the civil part of the infrastructure through the airspace, and all the commercial aspect is
But
maintained.
many places it is being managed by private players nowadays.
Sir, still the airspace is under the control of Airports Authority of India, but the private players manage the terminal buildings, the transport of passengers. There are private players in airlines as well, but the backbone is by Airports.
मुझे पार्थ आप मुझे ये बताइए पीसीएम का जो आउटपुट है सपोज वो बिट रेट उसकी आरबी है ठीक है अब मुझे इसे ट्रांसमिट करना है शिफ्टिंग टेक्निक के बाद एंटीना के थ्रू तो मैं यूज़ कर रहा हूँ QPS के तो ट्रांसमिशन बैंडविड्थ की रिक्वायरमेंट कितनी होगी बिट रेट आरबी है उसे ट्रांसमिट करना है मॉड्यूलेट करूँगा QPS के थ्रू फिर ट्रांसमिट करूँगा तो बैंडविड्थ की रिक्वायरमेंट कितनी होगी मिनिमम बैंडविड्थ
Sir, QPSK would transmit 2 symbols per second so 2 symbols at a time. So it would reduce 2 bits at a time. So that would reduce the bandwidth by 2. So RB by 2 would be the required.
ओके और अगर 8 लेवल PSK होगा तो
So by 3, the bandwidth would be reduced by 3.
और MSK होगा तो
So minimum shift key I'm not aware.
ठीक है जैसे आपने स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी ये सब लिखा है तो मैं सिंपल से सवाल पूछ रहा हूँ कम्युनिकेशन सैटेलाइट किस फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड में काम करता है
So there's the K band in the 4 to 6 gigahertz range. So 6 gigahertz is used for uplink and
के बैंड है या ये सी बैंड है
I think yes, it's a C
सी
band.
बैंड है ना ठीक है और DTH किस फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड में तो माइक्रोवेव फ्रीक्वेंसी बैंड्स कौन कौन से हैं
So microwave is considered the 3 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz frequency bands are considered.
उनके नाम है कुछ
Yes, sir. So there's the C band, there's L band, X band, K band, KU band, KA band.
ओके ठीक है व्हाट इज कॉम्पेंडर
So compander is the compressor plus expander is that is used in the communication systems in order to compress the systems while transmitting and then expand the systems while
सिस्टम को
receiving.
कॉम्प्रेस करता है ये
This message signals.
मैसेज सिग्नल कॉम्प्रेस करता है ओके तो ISI का नाम आपने सुना होगा ISI टाइम डोमेन में आकर होता है या फ्रीक्वेंसी डोमेन में
So time domain.
और अलाइजिंग
Aliasing is in frequency domain, sir.
अलाइजिंग को अवॉइड करना है क्या करना होगा
So we can use anti-aliasing filters in which
ठीक है।
bandwidth is
और
not.
ISI को अवॉइड करना है क्या करना होगा
So channel has to be appropriate for ISI because when the symbols
फॉर
are
एग्जांपल मैं PCM का आउटपुट ट्विन वायर केबल से ट्रांसमिट कर रहा हूँ या पैरेलल वायर से तो कौन सा सिग्नलिंग स्कीम यूज करूँगा या फिर कौन सा लाइन कोडर यूज करूँगा
So baseband can be used. Twin wire baseband can.
बेस बैंड ये कौन सा ये कोई लाइन कोडिंग स्कीम है क्या मैं तो पहली बार सुन रहा हूँ
So line coding, we can use PCM directly. We don't have to modulate the signal.
लाइन कोडर यूज होता है उसके बाद उसे ट्रांसमिट करते हैं पैरेलल वायर पर ठीक है चलिए इससे बाहर आते हैं आप ये बताइए फ्रीक्वेंसी मॉड्यूलेशन का नाम आपने सुना होगा
Yes, sir.
रेडियो में जो FM यूज होता है उसमें कैरियर फ्रीक्वेंसी रेंज क्या है
So 88 to 108 megahertz.
कि ट्रांसमिशन के लिए वेब प्रोपोगेशन टेक्निक कौन सी यूज होती है
Okay.
अच्छा वेब प्रोपोगेशन कितने टाइप्स के हैं
Wave propagation, sir, there's skywave propagation, there's line of sight propagation, there's radio wave propagation.
ठीक है
अच्छा इसी बात को कंटिन्यू करते हैं FM जब हम लोग सुन रहे होते हैं तो ड्यूरिंग डे टाइम एंड ड्यूरिंग नाइट टाइम में डिफरेंस आता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्वालिटी
Yes, sir.
व्हाई दिस
Sir, FM is a band that is reflected by the ionosphere.
Okay.
So at the during the daytime, the reflecting bands change, and during the night time they're different. So D bands are used, and then E and F bands become active. later.
Okay. You have interest in space technology. So have you heard about biosatellites?
Biosatellites, no, sir.
T-30 satellites?
No, sir.
अच्छा, सैटेलाइट्स में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है?
Not much, sir.
नॉट मच. तो फिर स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी में किस चीज़ में इंटरेस्ट है आपको?
Sir, rocket launches.
रॉकेट लॉन्चर्स. अच्छा. ये मार्स मिशन का लॉन्चिंग व्हीकल क्या था?
So Mars mission was launched using PSLV.
PSLV. श्योर?
Yes, sir.
मूवी देख के तो नहीं बता रहे हैं. PSLV लॉन्च कर सकता है मार्स तक?
Sir, it used a different technique where it fired repeatedly.
Okay.
Every.
No issue. You are a fresher candidate. What was your final year project?
So my final year, I had actually done 2 projects in my final year. So one of them was development of an exoskeleton for the rehabilitation of paraplegic
अच्छा, आपने
patients.
कुछ मेंशन भी किया है. चलिए, इस पर शायद पहले भी बात हो चुकी है, छोड़ दे. समर ट्रेनिंग किया है कहीं आपने?
Yes, sir.
कहाँ पर?
So Genelec Technologies Private Limited.
अच्छा, on the same field.
Yes.
Okay, no issue.
So what are the materials used for prosthetic aids and paraplegic?
So the specialized materials that can be accepted by the body. They need to be inert.
So generally used.
So if it's an implant, it is usually titanium. If it's not an implant, there are certain plastics, and the exact materials I'm not aware of.
There was some controversy about it. Any idea?
No, sir.
No. Johnson & Johnson in India.
So I heard about a controversy regarding talcum powder.
No. Okay.
Can CNT be
Can be
also
good.
used for some transplant or some bone replacement?
So the
CNT,
property,
do you know?
carbon nanotubes.
Can we use this?
So the properties may allow because it's high strength, but we need to look for the biological compatibility with that.
Biologically it may be compatible. Silicon is compatible. People do silicon implants. So carbon is also belonging from same kind of properties. So don't you think it is biologically?
So, but there are a lot of carbon compounds in our body, so that may bond with the carbon nanotubes itself. For example, there is oxygen, and then if there might be a chemical reaction where carbon nanotubes may get dissolved.
Okay. Very good. What are superconductors?
So superconductors are materials that exhibit zero resistivity at certain temperatures.
In China, between city center to Shanghai, there is running a train, and that has achieved a very high speed. So that train is using superconductive materials. So what is the principle behind that train?
So the train uses magnetic levitation.
What is this?
So the superconductors are fit onto the track as well as the train. So then current is passed, and that creates a magnetic field. So the train is hovering over the track, and that allows it to achieve low friction and hence the high speeds.
So why this is very good technology? So why this technology is not becoming popular?
So it's expensive.
Why it is expensive?
So maintaining superconductors at a particular temperature requires extensive cooling technology, and then there's the magnetic fields can destroy the superconductivity, so there needs to be a control in the amount of current.
Sure. Recently, ISC Bangalore talked about some room temperature superconductor. Is it possible?
So in research there are superconductors that can go up to 150 Kelvin. In fact, recently there was a superconductor that went to 200 Kelvin as well. But for practical use, we still don't have it.
Okay. You design a voltage buffer circuit. Okay, leave it. Tell me at least 3 properties of the voltage buffer.
So a voltage buffer would regulate the voltage to it's same as a voltage regulator, so that any fluctuations in the supply voltage would not.
Buffer and regulator both are same.
I think so.
So, what are the components of power supply system?
So a power supply system would have a rectifier and
Directly rectifier, before rectifier any other component?
so depends on the amount of input. So
Suppose 230 volt AC.
so we need a transformer for that.
What kind of transformer?
A step down transformer.
What are the benefits of transformer other than step down operation?
So electrical isolation.
Good, very good. And next component is rectifier.
Rectifier.
Rectifiers, full wave rectification, we are having bridge and center tapped, right?
Yes, sir.
Which one will provide you better efficiency? Practically,
So bridge rectifier. would be
bridge
better.
rectifier.
Yes, sir.
Don't you think that there are two diodes and drop will be higher and practical efficiency may become lower?
So if you look at the full wave rectifier, normal circuits, there are other factors also like the center tap only.
I'm talking about efficiency, not transformer utilization.
In terms of circuit
is
efficiency,
output upon input.
so the full wave rectifier in that case would be better. Only one diode has it.
One diode is okay. Okay. Next component after rectifier.
So
You keep on telling. No need to write.
so rectifier, then capacitor filter.
Okay. Capacitor filter. Capacitors are always connected in shunt fashion.
Yes, sir.
Why?
So in a filter, the capacitor charges to a certain voltage and then discharges. If it was a series, it won't allow the current to pass through it.
Okay. Okay. And then after capacitor, what?
So then there's a voltage regulator.
Achha. In capacitor filters, we talk about bleeder resistance.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
know what is bleeder resistance?
So so bleeder resistance is used. It's a very high resistance, so it doesn't affect the normal circuit operation. But in case we have a circuit where the input was high and it was left on and the load was disconnected, so then the bleeder resistance discharges the capacitor. So we don't have the possibility of an electric shock from that.
Sir, please.
What is dominant pole compensation?
So dominant pole compensation is used when we, in a control system, when we need to stabilize the system, we tend to cancel the dominant pole with a zero, and stability improves.
Okay, what is MEMS?
So MEMS is micro electromechanical systems. It's an upcoming technology that is used in manufacturing for very sensitive devices.
MEMS
such as
is in your cell phone. Where is it used?
accelerometers and gyroscopes.
Okay, good. Why do you think we are having a setup box for your TV? We're having a setup box, right? Why?
Yes, sir. So a set-top box is basically a modulator and demodulator circuit. So it helps the TV to receive the signals from the satellite.
Okay. Why a modulation is required in setup box? You are not transmitting. TV is only receiver.
So certain commands do require transmitting. When we say, for example, Tata Sky, when we need to connect to the service center, there's a button on the remote that requires transmitting through set-top box.
Very good. What is scaling?
So,
What is scaling of devices and why do we require?
So scaling of devices is when we change the size of the device. So downward scaling is used when the size of a device is reduced so that we can fit more devices in a limited area. So then there's constant voltage scaling and constant field scaling.
What is the current feature length in a VLSI fabrication?
So feature length is the minimum length
What is the length we are having now practically?
So practically 5 nanometers is there in the mobile phones, and recently I read that Apple has placed an order for 3 nanometer.
What is that we are having in India?
So in India,
Yeah.
so manufacturing is done at 180 nanometers, and well, consumer devices are at
Why so? Why are we not able to have 5 nanometer in India? Why only 180 nanometer?
So the basic problem with that is the cost of manufacturing. So in order to set up a very advanced fabrication facility, we need to invest thousands of crores of rupees. So that would only pay if we sell enough devices. So right now India does not have the kind of selling for that. there are
Don't you think we have electronics demand? We have so many everybody has electronics in their pocket in India. 100 crore devices cell phones are there. We have so much market in the world.
Electronics is a very monopolized domain. So there are only very limited number of manufacturers. In computers, for example, there's Intel, there's AMD. So
We could get the orders for manufacturing, right? We'll take the orders for manufacturing from Intel.
sir, the manufacturing is already set up in countries like Taiwan and US.
Then how do you think, suppose you're joining the service, we want to improve manufacturing in the country. What will you do? We
Sir,
can't say that China and Taiwan are having manufacturing, so we can't do it. That's not the way, right? What steps will you take?
So I would take a holistic approach considering the hardware development as well as the software development. So a chip is only useful if there is software developing on that. So Intel chips sell because people develop software for that. So I would incentivize software development as well and ask startups to come up. And
Don't you think India is already #1 in software?
so
Why do we, in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, we are having already so many software firms? Why do you require special software?
so hardware level softwares are required which can directly work on the newly manufactured chip.
Don't you think operating system is sufficient for that? Why special softwares are required?
So, well, operating system would work on the chip if it has certain kernels built for it. So, if we design any new chip, the kernels won't exist and hence the market would not pick up.
Okay. You are interested in space technology. You have got GATE 30th rank.
Yes.
You are a very intelligent candidate. Why don't you join ISRO? You will be very wonderful asset for ISRO. Chandrayaan-2 failed, land. You can make it successful. Why not ISRO?
Sir, I believe my capability and my service would be more utilized in a techno-managerial position, not just technical. And that kind of exposure would be present in engineering services.
That's why we are not doing manufacturing.
Yes, the same
Because
reason.
everybody wants to become manager.
Manager. No manufacturing in India. How are we going to create employment in the country?
It's better policies.
Better policies, that's it.
You already have those
So many policies every day. So
Okay, what are the policies which are there for electronic sector?
So there's a Digital India scheme where the startups are also incentivized.
Okay, that's basically enabler. And
So most policies are enabling.
what are the incentives?
Incentives in terms of so direct transfer of money, funds are provided.
Okay. You are very promising candidate, good personality, sure chance. Be ready with this kind of question. Why you are not joining ISRO? Why you are not starting your own kind of startup or business? Okay. There are billionaires, young billionaires. Why you cannot become Jack Beju or Natal Beju or okay kind of thing. So that kind of thing you need to work on. Secondly, you are still you need to work on government policy, programs, regulations in specific terms. So there are productivity linked incentives, and that's why I was asking, specifically for electronics and manufacturing. Right now, all this Make in India, Atmanirbhar India. So what are these pillars? Okay, go through this. How much economy, electronics, telecom, etc. Your ICT contributes to the economy. Okay, how much is export? How much is import? All these questions would come. Okay, so devices and all those kind of things. So you need to brush up on basically government program, government incentives, sector-wide aspect. So that is the gap area. Okay, in your gap. Others are, of course, you talked about missile. You talked about basically rockets. So all kind of there. I think we need to. Where are the launch sites? What we have achieved, particularly vis-a-vis China, how are we positioned? Okay, some armament related, etc. etc. So be ready. We have given you today 132, basically to encourage you that you can reach easily 140 plus, but if you work on these aspects, and if you have vague idea, it's better to say, sir, I have just a vague idea. If you want me to guess, I can do that, but otherwise avoid. Because from a sharp person, if you come out with say ordinary answer in the last question, when I said what are the incentives, then you suddenly dip. Okay, right. So first impression and last impression, and maintaining the energy level and attention level is very important in interview. Okay, so take care. Okay, all the best to you. In fact, my colleagues will give you.
Buffer and regulator, you told same. Better avoid that question answer. ठीक है, because actually what will happen, these kind of silly mistakes will bring down you 4-5 marks below, and you have given very good answers, so उनको negative marking करेगा. And you have promising candidate. पिछले इंटरव्यू में भी ये चीज़ हम लोगों ने बोली थी, आज भी बोल रहे हैं, यंग हो अभी, इसको और मेंटेन करो. मार्क्स ये सब जस्ट इंडिकेटिव हैं, ये इसलिए हैं कि आप अभी और पढ़ो, 10 मार्क्स तक जितना कर सकते हो उतना करते रहो.
कितने एयर स्ट्रिप्स हैं इंडिया में? जो उड़ान के जो कॉन्सेप्ट था उसमें अंडर सर्व्ड, ओके, अनसर्व्ड एंड अंडर सर्व्ड एयर स्ट्रिप, ये सब कॉन्सेप्ट थोड़ा सा मतलब एयरपोर्ट्स अथॉरिटी से रिलेटेड
थोड़ा आप
ग्रीनफील्ड
कम्युनिकेशन भी देख लेना.
ग्रीन एयरपोर्ट, थोड़ा एयरपोर्ट वगैरह इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर.
जैसे स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी आपने ये सब मेंशन किया है, तो सैटेलाइट कम्युनिकेशन से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आएंगे. ठीक है, तो वो सब आप देख लेना, कम्युनिकेशन, सैटेलाइट, डीटीएच जो भी है. ठीक है, प्लस आपकी जो चीज़ अच्छी लगी, क्वेश्चन को अप्रोच करने का तरीका सही है. मतलब आप सीधा टू दी आंसर पर आते हो, वो अच्छी बात है.
कोई सोशल प्लेटफॉर्म यूज करते हो? नहीं करते. थोड़ा एलन मस्क को फॉलो करो, ये बायो सैटेलाइट, ट्विटर सैटेलाइट वगैरह.
मैं भूल गया, SpaceX, yes.
मैंने उन्हीं की प्रोफाइल पर देखा है, ही कीप ऑन टॉकिंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स. ठीक है.
ओके, साइबर सिक्योरिटी लॉ पे तो राइट नाउ देयर इज लॉट ऑफ कंट्रोवर्सी इन प्राइवेसी एंड साइबर सिक्योरिटी. ओके, ऑल द बेस्ट टू यू.
Excellent in my opinion, but don't become overconfident. ये चीज़ लास्ट 10 दिन में अभी overconfident हो जाओगे तो.
And what is electronic waste rules, management rules?
ठीक है.
So I've given you a flavor of that. The areas where you need to reinforce. Okay. All
I
the
think
best.
पिछले मॉक में भी आप ऐसे ही कुछ मार्क्स रहे हैं आपके, कितने रहे?
Marks were informed.
अच्छा, बताया नहीं इन लोगों ने, ऐसे ही कुछ थे 128 130 के अराउंड, व्हाट आई रिमेंबर दैट. सो दैट इज इंडिकेटिव कि यू कैन डू वेरी वेल. ओके.
Okay. All the best to you.
all the best. God bless you.
All the best.
Bye.
Thank you.